Sonic Lost World. Liam, welcome.
Hi.
I'm Samus Killer Dan, and today we're going to be talking about Sonic Lost World for the Wii U. So, first of all, let's just say, what was your first impressions when you first started playing it? Because you got it a day or two before it came out, is that right?
I got it I think a couple of nights before the review embargo went up. So my experience is a bit of a weird one. It's an interesting game because I've had a really bipolar reaction to it, I'd say.
Okay.
Like I don't remember doing this much of a 180 in terms of my opinion on it on a game that I've played. But with this time, like the first few hours I played, I was like genuinely concerned because before that I had kind of highish expectations because, you know, in the previews, despite, you know, the reviews that have come out since then, the previews, everyone just about was like, oh, this is shaping up to be the best Sonic game in years and all that. And then so
it's exclusive to the Wii U as well, so you assume that a lot of more time and effort has gone into just this version rather than sort of spreading it out over like multiple systems.
Yeah.
I know it's on the 3DS as well, but that was DIMS, so it's a different team.
So I played the first few hours and I went onto Twitter and I was like, you know, guys, I'm not feeling it. I was like, my heart was sinking as I wrote that because that was my honest opinion at the time. I was finding it difficult to build up momentum with Sonic. I didn't like get the homing attack like targeting system. I didn't get the parkour system, but so I decided, you know, I'll call it a day, come back tomorrow, and on the Thursday I think it was, I started playing it, and after like maybe an hour or two of, you know, just struggling again to get into it, like I got to a point where things like began to fall into place and really click, and it highlighted to me that, you know, a part of me not being able to get into it is my own incompetence, really. Me not being able to learn the game, but I think it is a big failing of the game itself.
It doesn't explain itself
at
all.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It explains itself so poorly, and you know, some games purposely don't do that, and obviously it must be a conscious decision for them not to explain it, that you learn how to play the game itself. But another example of a game doing that and doing it really well is the Wonderful 101. It kind of lays down the basics for you, but it's like they give you the base of the game, and then it's for you to master it.
Yeah.
But with Sonic Lost World, they tell you nothing. They tell you absolutely nothing. They like sure, you get like the button map, like instructions manual you get with a little bit of paper.
Yeah.
And you can at certain points in levels summon Omochao and be like, oh, he'll like tell you what the button is for kicking or something like that. But those are just like button mapping, and it doesn't teach you how to use the homing attack. It doesn't teach you how to like wall run.
Yeah, I would love to know what people think of this if it's their first ever Sonic game. I'm sure that they'd be completely, well, pardon the pun, lost.
Yeah, well, I think a big part of learning how to play the game, if you've been playing over the past few years, Unleashed, Generations, those kind of games, because those were so different. You'd think for this game, which is, you know, so different from those games in terms of controls and everything, you'd think that they would add like a proper tutorial or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But they don't. They don't teach you how to play the game, and there is, you know, a lot of intricacies to the game, like I said, the parkour system, the running on walls, and the multiple homing attack, the chain homing attack thing.
I didn't get that until probably like really late in the game. The whole
me too.
Even, by the way, talking about the homing like kick attack, but I didn't even know that existed until I got to I think it was the 5th zone.
Yeah,
that boss where there's a bunch of missiles. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but there's a boss where he's throwing missiles at you, and I was just homing attacking the missiles, thinking, why isn't this doing anything?
So I saw that on Twitter.
The
only reason I knew about the kick attack because a kind lady at Sega told me about it when I was at a demo pod or something. And
I followed a little bit of this game trailer wise, but I've not really watched many previews and stuff, and I had no idea that this attack existed, and I felt like such an idiot for not trying something else, but I didn't know why I did that.
Yeah.
Like, why was bounce when you weren't home and attacking? And it was just kind of like, some of the enemies that require that kick attack early on, I was getting hit thinking, how the bloody hell do you kill these enemies? I had no idea.
I mean,
I was just streaming through it.
I mean, I'm sure somebody in the comments is going to be like, "Oh, you suck," or "Why didn't you ask? Why didn't you ask Omocha or stuff like
Yeah,
that?" But
that didn't explain it either. That just said you got to attack its missiles, and I was like, "That's what I'm fucking
well,
doing."
yeah,
That's why when Miiverse, I actually resorted to using one of the main cool things about the Wii U was the Miiverse and jumping on that and asking and putting a picture saying, "Does anyone know how to actually beat this boss?"
yeah,
I'm back in 10 minutes. Like, oh, you kick the missiles. I was,
yeah.
whenever you use the wisps which make a return in this game,
Mm-hmm.
they pops up on your gamepad to press the button at that time, doesn't it? It tells you what to do, but it does that every time you use a wisp.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I don't really understand how they're overcompensating on telling you what to do on that, but then they're not telling you at all on other stuff like the homing kick.
Yeah, that's kind of weird how that is. I never really thought about it that way, but yeah, the core controls, the things that are most kind of obtruse, they don't teach you any of that.
One of the things that I wasn't keen on when I first heard about it was the run button. Sonic's got a run button now. Rather than pushing the analog stick forward, you actually have a button you have to hold to make him run.
Yeah.
But once you get used to it, I kind of liked it. I don't know about yourself, but I
Yeah.
like the fact that when you're not running, you've got more control over Sonic on platforming sections, which is something that Sonic in 3D has always suffered with, in my opinion.
No,
he's always slippery on platformers because he wants to build a momentum all the time. But if you're not holding the run button in this game, he won't.
Yeah, it's very different because previously Sonic would handle a bit more slippery, and now you can just relieve the right trigger, and you'll stop on a dime pretty much. And give you a lot more precision. And I think that was one of the things as well. They've kind of toned down the speed a little bit to implement that into the gameplay. And I think you kind of have to reprogram yourself to what you expect of Sonic. You kind of have to just let go of your expectations and be like, okay, I'm not going to play this like other Sonic games. I'm going to play it how it's supposed to be played.
Because the old school Sonic games, majority of the time, you'd play it quite slow because you didn't know the level that well. But once you mastered the level, then you can go through fast. Then you can speed run it essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Perhaps I know we've been pretty negative on it. I think overall for me, I do actually think this is still a good game after you get used to it. I mean, my favourite level, I just want to say my favourite level, is the honeycomb level. Actually, most of the second zone.
Yeah, I like the second zone.
And the one after that, which is the cleverly named dessert zone rather than desert.
Yeah.
I really like that at stage.
I like the levels that give you a lot of room to kind of roam around. There's a really cool desert level where there's these kind of Star Wars style sandworms coming out of the ground.
I know the one. That's the Act 1.
Yeah, and there's a one in the final zone, which is a kind of Bowser's Castle style level.
I reminded me of Bowser's Castle as well from 3D Land or Galaxy. Yeah,
it's where you approach their kind of lair.
I will agree. I really enjoyed them open levels.
That's one thing that I like about Lost World. There's a lot of extra exploration. Pretty much every level, you can find an alternative route, and you can because the levels are kind of tubes now.
I do like that. Even the first level, there's 4 ways to go on the first little planet.
On the little planetoid, there's a bunch of different routes you can take. What I saw in a lot of the reviews, and this is not to criticize people for their own opinions and that kind of thing, and say, oh, you're wrong for not liking this, but I think a lot of people didn't really give it a chance and didn't really just accept it for how it is. The game is slower, but that doesn't mean it's worse. But I think after you get over a certain sort of hump in the game of learning how to play it, learning its intricacies, then it really starts to click with you.
Yes.
At least it did with me. I
totally agree. For me, it was, I don't know about yourself, but it was 2/3 of the way through for me until I've really felt that, okay, this is clicking for me now. I'm enjoying myself.
Another thing we should say is that, I don't know if it was the same for you, but at least on certain levels, this game kicked my arse.
Yes, definitely.
It is
hard.
It is pretty brutal.
Yeah, and I know exactly what you mean. The later levels.
The one, I think it's a frozen factory level where you're in a snowball.
A
lot of people have been like, "Oh my god, this is so hard." I don't think it's as hard as some people say, but there was another one in the forest level. I think it's entirely side scrolling. There are a lot of insta deaths in that.
Yes, I know the one you're on about. Yeah.
I think one of the problems with it is that, you know, like the difficulty curve isn't as well applied as it could be. I found like earlier on, I had like, you know, there were some levels that were clearly much harder than others, and the zones themselves are so much harder than any of the bosses, in my opinion. I think like the bosses, for me, the bosses were complete pushovers in comparison.
Once I figured out how to beat them, yeah, they are really easy.
Yeah.
I don't want to get onto spoilers here, but I'll just say the final boss was so easy. One of the easiest boss battles in a 3D Sonic game well, I think ever, actually.
The ending, for me, I don't know if it was the same for you, Dan, it was so disappointing. Like,
yes, it was.
In a way, because I was talking about this with Ntelm64, I don't know if you know that guy from Hellfire Comms, and we talked about it briefly on Twitter, and what he said was, one of the reasons why the kind of finale of Sonic Colors is so good that it builds up towards it. Throughout the game, and then there's a payoff, and there isn't really that in Lost World. Like, in terms of the story, it does build up to it a little bit. It builds up to a kind of like a rivalry between Sonic and Zavik, and maybe Eggman's up to something and that kind of thing. But the kind of like the final boss and that kind of thing, it's really easy, and it lasts a couple of minutes. I see that a lot of people really like the story in this game, and to be honest, I think like the story is one of the weakest elements to the game. Like the Deadly Six characters are like, I don't care what anyone says, they're awful. They're like they're real. They're just each one of them pretty much, with the exception of Zavik, who's a pretty cool character actually.
Yeah, the main bad one,
Yeah, all of the rest of them are just generic, really one-dimensional social stereotypes. And
you've got the emo, you've got the fat one, you've got the hyperactive one.
We have the old man. When they hammer it home so much, and like the levels that lead up to the boss fights, they have them kind of like talking over the level, and
oh god,
it's unbelievably annoying. They have like,
especially when I kept dying a few times, and you keep hearing the same line of dialogue again and again and again, and it's like, can you shut up now, please?
That's a weird trope of Sonic games where they have like they have the characters talking over levels, and I kind of wish that would die, to be honest.
Yeah, the Deadly Six to me seemed like some like Saturday morning cartoon characters that just like got put in a Sonic game, and they felt really out of place. They didn't feel like they were Sonic designed characters at all. Overall I preferred it to Unleashed.
Yeah.
But I think Colors and Generations
by default, because it doesn't have a fucking werewolf hedgehog in it.